taxpayers of Oklahoma to continue paying income taxes while they're trying to make ends meet in this economy. I think that's ridiculous. I think it is absurd. I think that there's plenty of time to get back to work and provide real tax relief for families. I believe that it's absolutely essential for the taxpayers of Oklahoma to have no income tax this year. They have demanded that time and time again. There is no reason we should not be able to deliver on that for Oklahomans. And folks, I'm going to tell you right now, what I just told you is going to make me the most hated guy in this building. A deal's been cut. A deal that I don't feel like taxpayers were welcome to the table for. A budget's been presented. We're supposed to like it and move on. And again, I hear from taxpayers all over the state that have been promised tax cuts, that have been promised no income tax. And we're going to go another year and not deliver on that promise. Well, folks, look, I expect a lot of repercussions for speaking this directly and fighting for taxpayers today. I expect my budget to be cut. I expect the legislature to punish me for coming out and saying this to you today. But I'm not going to watch a budget fly through without somebody in this building going out and defending the taxpayers of Oklahoma. And I also want to say, look, I know there's some legislators fighting hard to get that done. But that's not what happened in the budget. That's not what we're seeing for families. We have to have comprehensive tax reform, and we have to have it now. Texas has no income tax. Arkansas moves forward. Not only should we not have an income tax, folks, it's time to tackle this. We shouldn't have a property tax. Why do we continue to tax someone's property after they have paid for it year after year after year? Do they really own the property? Is that the position that we hold here in the state? That even though you own it, we're going to continue to tax you year after year? If we actually can pass real tax reform, this state will be a true economic engine, because you'll actually have Oklahoma families that can provide for themselves. You'll actually have people that actually, when they go to work, they get to take some of that home and provide for their kids. You actually have people that want to move here and work here because they know, when I buy that property, it's mine. As a matter of fact, that's kind of one of the preeminent parts of the Declaration of Independence, is it not? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. When you read what Jefferson meant by the pursuit of happiness, a lot of it was talking about property. Isn't that the American dream? But we continue to allow lobbyists and special interests to drive the conversations around the budget. And the Oklahoma taxpayers are sitting out there, working hard, trying to provide, and are told, this is what you got, just take it, and we'll try again next year. We'll use it as a political talking point next year. Folks, it's time to end the political talking points and deliver for the families of Oklahoma. And that's what I'm here to tell you today. I'm happy to take any questions.
What does this have to do with education? As a state superintendent, what do tax cuts have to do with education?
I appreciate this question because I think it's very indicative of why we are not leading in everything the way that we should. What does revenue and taxation have to do with education? Education is the number one thing that we fund in this state. And we have a budget that says, don't worry about revenue, don't worry about taxation. We're going to continue to trim around the edges and hope the people like it. Folks, this is about everything. How do we pay for our schools? How do we pay for our teachers? How do we make sure that everybody's got a seat at the table? When we continue to pass the buck on the budget, when we continue to not be responsive to the people of Oklahoma, we are not providing for our kids the way that we should. And folks, you can see it in my budget. What did I do? And listen, look, I've been criticized robustly by the media for this. Slash jobs. We unapologetically slashed jobs, 150 of them. What did? We said we're going to put this money directly in the schools. We launched teacher signing bonus programs. We launched tutoring programs. because that's where the funding should go. We want to support the kids. We're not here to grow bureaucracy. We've asked for the largest waiver from the federal government on federal funds. This will eliminate hundreds of jobs, government jobs, because what do we want to do with that money? We want to support our kids, our schools, and our parents. We're not here to provide paychecks for government employees. If we don't start taking these problems holistically and the problems that underlie every issue the state's facing, we're never going to be able to move forward. So I will tell you, the only reason we have our schools is because taxpayers are out working hard to provide. And instead of it being said at the end of the day, hey, taxpayers, this is the budget. We'll give you some tax cuts once you give us so many $100 million of your taxpayer dollars in the future. We'll kick some of it back to you. What if we actually started and said, no, we actually don't have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem. And we're going to dramatically cut back on spending, and we're going to bring the money back to Oklahoma families to provide, and we're only going to spend money that's absolutely necessity for our kids, for our schools, for our future. So I believe this is of the utmost importance for education. I believe that this is one of the central issues the state is facing, is taxation and the burden on every working class family in the state of Oklahoma. Sure. So let's take a look at that question. Again, K4 gets it fundamentally wrong, which at least you're consistent of being wrong. So we are not in the bottom of education. We've continued to see dramatic increases in Oklahoma City and Tulsa. I know y'all don't care to report facts. Facts are stubborn. Hey, look, K4, I got it. You're fake news. I got you. That K4 will consistently report lies, and I'm going to consistently call you out on those. So thank you for the question. Again, you couldn't be more wrong. You guys are always wrong. And Oklahoma taxpayers are tired of it. They're tired of your lies. They are tired of the media not putting a spotlight on an issue like the budget. K4 doesn't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about the amounts, the cost to taxpayers. They don't care. And so, folks, I gave you a question. You don't like my answer, but that's okay. So what you're going to continue to see is fake news like K4 try to cover up the major issues facing American families. Oklahoma families, do you want more money in your pocket or not? Do you want your income taxed? I think the answer is no. I hear it every day. Do you want your property taxed for the rest of your life? I think the answer is no. So I'm going to continue to fight against lobbyists, special interest, fake news media outlets, and I will continue to defend the people of Oklahoma unapologetically. Well, I appreciate the question. That's a question I'll look at over the summer, but right now I've been very consistent on this. My focus is the school year and this legislative session. We still have time this legislative session to get it right. That's why I'm here today. We have time. The people of Oklahoma are speaking. I get it everywhere I go. When are we actually going to see real tax reform? When am I actually going to see my taxes cut in a way that actually makes a difference for me and my family? We have time to fix it. So Murray, I'm here today to say we've got time. We can eliminate the income tax. We can do comprehensive tax reform, but we can't just give lobbyists and special interests a seat at the table. We've got to defend the taxpayers of Oklahoma, fundamentally change the way that we're looking at taxation, and we can get there. Yes, ma'am. Well, look, where's the cuts? Where's the cuts in the budget? And you all know this. Again, media, you report on it every year. Folks come to the table, they have their asks. People meet in closed-door rooms, a number walks out, gets rolled out, and that's the number. Where did the number come from? Well, everybody came with their asks. You know who didn't come with their asks? Oklahoma taxpayers that say, listen, actually, this is tough for me and my family. Actually, we're making decisions. I ran into a mom the other day that said, we're making decisions on summer camps. I don't know that my kid can go to this camp this summer because, again, times have been tough. We think things are getting better, but these are still decisions that are affecting our families. So the lobbyists get together, they meet with the legislators, they meet with the governor, they come away with a number that is palatable for them. There's no consideration for the taxpayers, and that's the number that's rolled out. And so we've got to get past talking points of tax cuts and get into the actual tax cuts that families see and it frankly impacts behaviors, right? I mean, if you're talking about $100 over a year, does the family even know that happened? I mean, that's where you've got to do. You've got President Trump at the federal level. I mean, look at how many attacks President Trump has taken to cut billions of dollars. I mean, billions of dollars, real world savings. We're here in a state where every county voted for that president, voted for President Trump. And we're saying we can't cut government? I fundamentally reject that. I think that Oklahomans fundamentally reject that. I think that they want to see a budget that cuts their taxes in a way that's meaningful for them. And I think that I know that we should deliver that for our taxpayers. Yes, ma'am.
Have you had conversations with the governor about this budget before? I mean, what are your plans to step up and make this an action?
Yeah, absolutely happy to be involved in these conversations. I mean, you saw it just got rolled out. They went to a closed room, rolled it out. And so we're all here to weigh in on it. You know, all of us, you all, the taxpayers are going, okay, so what's in the budget? So where do we come to? Where are the cuts? Absolutely, I am more than happy to dig into this as we continue to go. Again, we've got time this session to fix this problem. We've got time to deliver for the taxpayers of Oklahoma, and I absolutely would be more than happy to continue working toward that.
What would you say to your teachers and to your parents?
Oh, let me go to Naria first.
What's your plan to fund schools without income tax or property tax?
Yeah.
So much millions of dollars.
No, thank you for that question. So what you need to see is it's got to be comprehensive tax reform. The problem is not revenue, it is spending. We have got to cut how much we are spending. That's what we did in our agency. We came in and said, we're going to cut a bunch of these jobs. Federal government, we want to cut a bunch of your jobs. Let's get this money directly to the schools. Let's eliminate administrative positions. Let's eliminate bureaucratic positions. You eliminate all these things, folks, the money's there, but it's about making sure it's allocated appropriately. So again, it's not a revenue problem, it's a spending problem, and we've got to get that under control. We do that, you do it in a comprehensive manner, we've got it covered. Yes, sir.
That's kind of the same question that I had. Are you saying that you've cut your department down as far as you can cut, or in the other agencies need to cut more, or are you prepared to cut the education department down even more?
Oh, we're going to cut every day. We've continued to slash. I told the legislature, I don't give me all the money you gave me last time. And with this budget, they're going, no, we're going to give it to you anyway. Cut the budgets. We're going to continue to slash our budgets. We're going to continue to say, look, any cost savings I have is going to be passed on to the taxpayer, or we're going to send it directly to schools. We're not bringing in new positions. We're not growing government. We're here to shrink government. I want less government, more money directly to the services we need.
Favor of consolidating a bunch of smaller schools into regional schools? Or
Look, what I'm talking about is eliminating government spending from the bureaucratic level. So what we've got to look at right now, when you look at all the money flowing through every agency, cut. And then you get to a point where, again, the funds are there. The funds to fund public schools, it's there. We need to get it directly there and quit funding all these bureaucratic positions.
How do the bonuses that were given to OSD employees fit into this? If you're trying to cut, why are employees getting extra money?
Well, we dramatically slashed the budget. We fired individuals. We came in, I said it from day one, guess what? If you work for my agency, you're going to be paid based on merit. We did a full funding freeze. We did a full spending freeze, hiring freeze. We said we're going to analyze how many jobs we need. Guess what? We didn't need about 150. Got rid of those. Then we come back in and we said, you know what? Everyone in this agency, every single individual is paid based on merit. Every year they go through an entire year's worth of evaluations, and they come to the end and they get a score and they can challenge that. But I've said it from day one, I'm going to pay based on merit. So we froze salaries and we pay our employees based on merit. We have been able to slash the budgets. We've been able to find some real rock stars. You know, it's funny, when you pay based on merit, the cream rises to the top. And so we've sat here and looked and said it's been tremendous. It's been an amazing turnaround in the State Department of Education, because again, we cleared out a bunch of positions that weren't needed. We paid based on merit, and we let folks come in. And again, we've seen so many success stories. That's what we've asked of every school in the state, to do the same thing. Pay the teachers based on merit. Because again, you're going to see your great teachers are going to be exceptional. They're going to do great. They're going to get those funds. And you know what the ones that are falling behind are going to say? Hey, if I do a little bit better, I can get that bonus too. And that's what we tell every employee at our agency. You do better, happy to pay you more. And so that is exactly, guys, that's the free market 101, isn't it? Isn't it amazing? None of this is new. But again, None of this is new, but it does require a shift in the way you do government. And again, like I said, that what I just told you all today makes me really unpopular in this building. A deal was cut, the lobbyists are happy, they're ready to go. But it doesn't do justice for the taxpayers, and it requires a fundamental shift. We want to spend less money, we want less government employees, we want to get more bang for our buck, which means merit pay. Every agency should have merit pay, and I think that you'd see a much better service provided for taxpayers.
You had a clawback, like over $100,000 from teachers that got the bonuses last year. You guys had to claw back with teachers who weren't supposed to get it. That was, I mean, that's a lot.
This K4's last question. You guys know how to waste time. Like,
Is that not true though?
is it not true that we are accountable? We're accountable for taxpayer dollars. We are accountable for taxpayer dollars. We will always be accountable for taxpayer dollars. Sorry, K4, you're going to be on ice. Enough. K4, hey, fake news somewhere else today. Thank you for your time. Any real questions from the media? Yes, ma'am.
So what I'm hearing is that you cut your budget, but you want more money from the state for education because you're saying that's so important. Why did you cut your budget when you knew you would need that money?
No. Let me just make sure we understand this. No, we don't need more money. What we need is for every agency to do like what we're doing in education, which is say, we are going to scale back government. My goal coming in office is to have less government. We're going to scale back what we're doing. We're going to make sure so the taxpayer money that is allocated for schools gets to schools. So we're going to dramatically cut down. I'm going to ask for less money, like I've continued to do, and say, we don't need money. Get the money directly to schools. This budget is enough for schools. We want less administrative positions. We want more accountability. We want more transparency. We want more to go into paying based on merit. And we said, look, the money that's there is sufficient. We didn't ask for more money. We asked for less. But again, the practice should be whatever we need, allocate those funds, but don't grow government in doing so. So that's my position there.
Budget that was allocated to education specifically. Got a bigger increase in funding than you asked for. A lot of your budget proposals were not needed.
Yeah.
No funding for Bibles, funding for tutoring, but no funding for some of the other initiatives that you had asked for. So can you speak to what you saw in that?
Again, I want less money going to our agency. I don't want us to continue spending more money. So let's cut. Let's cut the agency spending. I think that needs to be cut. I think that we need to be looking holistically at the budget and say, why are we not providing income tax cuts? Why are we not moving forward with eliminating income taxes? Why are we not moving forward with eliminating property taxes? So again, we've said the money's there. We have the money for education. We have the money to be successful in education. We have laid out the reforms for those funds to be successful. We have shown in our agency how that can be done with less money. And so look, it's just, it is a frustrating point for taxpayers to sit here at the end of session and be sold a bill of goods that their income taxes were going to be eliminated. Now they're going, wait, what? It's a quarter here and then maybe a quarter in the future. That's not eliminating income taxes. And so we've got to get away from political bumper stickers and deliver. And again, taxpayers are struggling right now. And Oklahoma should be the greatest state in the country. Everything should be the greatest here. We got the best people in the country. That is, I think that is not in dispute. So we need to be acting like it in the way that we govern. And when they say that they don't want to pay income taxes, when they say, listen, I bought this property, I shouldn't be paying on it the rest of my life, we should absolutely heed to those promises. We should absolutely deliver it for them. And again, now is as good a time as ever. We've got the time to do it, and I want to see it happen. Yeah.
$25 million that school got funding formula this year. You're saying they didn't need it or they shouldn't have gotten it?
Look, I'm saying we can fund education directly, and I'm fine with the way that we're funding education. I've told you I didn't ask for more money. I told you what I want to see is less administrative positions. What I've told you is I want to see less bureaucracy. What I told you is I want to see money being spent more efficiently because, again, I can give you a million anecdotes, but when I'm out in public and I go see somebody at the diner and they're telling me, like, this is the only time we've been out to eat this whole month because times are tough, those are the people that I'm sitting there going, why aren't we delivering for them? And why aren't we having our belts tightened everywhere else in government to say, no, actually, we can stretch a dollar. We can find more efficiency here. We can eliminate government positions. We've got too many government positions. That should be dramatically less. And so if you do that across the board, you've got money. If you do that across the board, you can deliver those core services. And again, look, I want us to have the best schools in the country. And again, just like I've said holistically, it's the same for schools. It's not a revenue problem. It is a spending problem. And we've got to get that under control. And again, that's not popular to say here. That's not popular to say around your lobbyist crowds. I mean, that's not what they want to hear. They want more money, more money, more money. Now let us divide up the money. But that's the God's honest truth is the money is there. Let's defend taxpayers and get it where it needs to go.
Why are you sitting on $250,000 for school?
As I've K4, just thank you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
To follow up on what Mary was saying, one of your biggest pushes this year was that $3 million request for Bible. Can we get a more direct reaction to both chambers not allocating $3 for that?
Look, the Bible's going to be in every classroom this fall. Legislature can put the money there or not. We're going to have a Bible in every classroom this fall. So that's going to happen. So we're doing that. We've been very straightforward on how we're doing that. We've been very straightforward of, listen, you know, I've talked about this with a lot of you, talked about it with a lot of folks around Oklahoma. Guys, if we don't get back to understanding what made this country great, if we don't get back to understanding that it is the Christian values this country was built on, that forged it throughout history, folks, I don't know what the future looks like. So that is absolutely a hill that I will never stop charging. That is absolutely something that I will continue to fight till every kid understands that the history of America includes the Bible, includes biblical principles. I mean, my goodness, you would have to walk around with a blindfold throughout American history to not see that. You go to D.C., you see it on every monument. You see it next to every individual statue or the quotations. You see it in every speech that you can read. The mention of God, His providence, and the belief in those Christian values. So we're going to continue to make sure, look, our standards mention it over 30 times. So we're going to have Bibles back in the classroom. We've already been exhausting multiple avenues to do that. So look, that's going to happen. We're going to make sure that Oklahoma children understand the role the Bible played in American history, and that will happen this fall. Yes, yeah. Yes, ma'am. The rule on illegal immigration, yeah. Look, it's incredibly disappointing that we see the Senate not provide that type of transparency for taxpayers. Let's just be real clear. Our rule says that we are going to account for how many taxpayer dollars, how much goes towards illegal immigrants in our schools. That's all it says. Folks, you've heard the controversy. It's all it says. We want taxpayers to know how much money of theirs, it is their money, is spent on illegal immigrants. That's all the rule says. And yet, we've got one chamber over here that says that's too far. We've got a governor over here that says that's too far. I'm unapologetic in fighting for the taxpayers of Oklahoma. I will unapologetically say, yes, you deserve to know where your dollars are spent. Yes, you deserve to know this cost on kids, on our schools. We know it's in the hundreds of millions of dollars. We already have a lawsuit in federal court to hold Joe Biden's administration responsible for that. Folks, I think it's the tip of the iceberg. But I can't tell you that with certainty because they are not allowing us to ask schools, what is the financial burden of your school? It's very common sense. Look, we're going to continue to work with the House and say that this needs to go through, but taxpayers deserve to know how their money is spent. You've got hundreds of millions of dollars here in our schools. We're talking about school funding. We're talking about education funding. Hundreds of millions of dollars are being spent on illegal immigrants, and we can't ask the question. I think it's absurd. I think it's common sense. I think the people at home watch that and say, that's all we're talking about here? Why in the world would we not get the answer to that question?
What do you say to people that think you're racist?
Why would asking that question be racist? It's something somebody says out there. I think that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. So, I'm going to always fight for the taxpayers of Oklahoma. They deserve to know where their taxpayer funds go. And illegal immigrants shouldn't be in this country. We need to see how much money is being spent on them. That to me is just so straightforward, so common sense. Yes. Yeah, it's a little over $10,000. I mean, you know, it depends on the district here, but I'm giving you a rough estimate. You talk about federal funding, talk about local funding. It is kind of your bottom line is at least $10,000 a child. So you look at that, and just again, let's keep the numbers really simple. Let's just call it 10,000. You look at a classroom. Again, math. You know, let's walk through little simple math equations. You have $10,000 a kid. You have 20 kids in a classroom. It's $200,000. If you get away from bureaucracy, if you get away with all this wasteful government spending and you get down to it, so taxpayers are paying $10,000 for Johnny and Susie's education. So that means sitting in a teacher's classroom with 20 kids, there's $200,000 there. Ask that teacher if she feels like there's $200,000 in her salary sitting in that classroom. But when you break it down like that, it really does get to that fundamental problem, doesn't it? The money is there, but it's not being spent appropriately.
Superintendent, the governor has also said that he wants a zero income tax. So
Yeah.
that sounds
I'm sorry, you're like right behind the light. Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
It sounds to me like something you're in agreement on. Have you talked to him about that?
Well, look, I'm looking at a budget here. That's fine. And again, you know, it's one thing to say it. It's another thing to do it. So we're going to go another session and say we're on a path for it. And how many years? It's triggered by revenue, right? Okay. So again, taxpayers, if you pay us several hundred million more than we need, eventually we'll give you your tax cuts. Look, I just fundamentally disagree with that approach. The approach should be, we're not taking taxes from your income anymore. We want you to work in Oklahoma. We want to incentivize work. So we're not going to tax you when you come over here and work. Hey, come up from Texas. You're not going to be hit with a tax for working in Oklahoma. But you start with taxpayers. We're not going to collect this tax. Well, when you start there, then you make the government adjust to that. Okay, we're not collecting this anymore. So now we are going to fit within these confines. And you know what's going to happen, by the way, over time? You're going to have economic prosperity because people will spend more. People want to move here. You will see benefits. But you start with the taxpayer and you say, no, I'm not doing a deal. If you pay me so much, I'll kick it back to you. No. We're not taking your income taxes anymore, period. That's how we do this. That's what parents have demanded. It's what taxpayers have demanded. And so we've got to deliver on that promise.
Have you had conversations with the governor about it?
About this new budget? Haven't done this new budget that they just rolled out. Again, this was done behind the scenes, and we roll it out, and this is, y'all need to take it and like it. Well, a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people don't like it. A lot of people want to see this impact right now, and I completely agree with them. They need to see their income taxes gone like this year. So that's what we need to do. Yes.
So this legislature has been out of step with voters and the mandate in November about not growing government, particularly Senate Bill 224, and it was related to education and workforce, and it proposed a brand new entity that would cost millions to Oklahomans, total duplication. We also have a governor who, for 6 months, has been pushing a green energy agenda that doesn't make a lot of economic sense for Oklahomans. Both of those talking points come directly from the National Governors Association. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, look, this green energy subsidy nonsense has to stop. I mean, it's unbelievable to me. We're in an oil and gas state. Oil and gas is booming. They're saying, let us drill, and it will just keep coming in. We got jobs we'll bring into the state. We'll come here, and we're going, hey, green energy companies, which, by the way, are almost all run by leftists. That's just fact. Hey, we want to bring you here. We're going to give you subsidies because we want to bring you here. Boy, get out around the state, and I would agree with what you said there. Get out around the state and see how people feel about, let's do more subsidizing windmills. Let's see the response you get if you go to a diner and say that, okay? That's not what the people of Oklahoma want. They do not want subsidies for green energy. That needs to be completely taken off the board, and we've got to get away from these special interests that continue to push it in the state. The only special interest our legislators, our governors should be concerned about are the taxpayers. That should be the only one that they're concerned about, instead of continuing this green energy debacle, instead of continuing these other boondoggles of more and more money at the taxpayer's expense. And then again, hey, we'll give you the slightest cut. I mean, if you look under a microscope, you might feel it at some point, and then just thank us and we'll be on the way. That is fundamentally wrong. Well, we've already had quite a few donated to the agency. So listen, this is what's amazing about our state and our country. Once we started to say we want to make sure that our kids understand the role the Bible played in American history, once we started to get this out, once I started to go and talk to folks, and again, it's Oklahoma parents, it's Oklahoma teachers that say, look, we want this. We have continued to see the generosity of individuals say, hey, if they're not going to fund it, we'll pony up. Right? We want to make sure that kids understand its role. And so look, if that's the way we're going to do it, that's the way we're going to do it. But look, that is too fundamentally important to the future of our families, our state, our country. Folks, we got to understand the role that God played in this country, period. And we are absolutely robbing the next generation to allow left-wing teachers unions, left-wing activists to say, you know what, that offends me. So that all I want them to know about George Washington is he's a racist. Boom, end of story. Let's pack up and move home. No, we're not doing that here. You're going to understand the motivations of our founders. You're going to understand what guided them in their own words. Now, we're not going to censor American history. We're not going to censor God from our schools. We're not going to censor Christianity from our schools. We brought prayer back to schools. Kids want to pray. They need to pray. Kids want to learn about the Bible and its role in American history. It is our history. So we will be doing that. It will happen. And again, we've luckily got incredible people here in the state of Oklahoma and around the country that will make sure that happens. I'd take a couple more. Zero income tax. You start there. We're not going to do income taxes this year, period. That is what the people of Oklahoma demanded. Remember, every county voted for President Trump. Every single county. And then we come in and go, all right, we're going to do same as normal. We're going to do the budget process. Again, we heard a lot of talking points about cutting income taxes, right? You heard all that. Then they come out and go, hey, here's the number. It's a quarter. That's not what the people of Oklahoma want. So again, that might be real popular in this building. They might tell you this is the way we always do it, and it's fine, there's no problems here. But that's not what the people of Oklahoma demand. They want no income tax. They want no property taxes. We've got to deliver on those things. So again, I mean, they can say what they want. The end result is what it is. You do not have a significant income tax cut. People of Oklahoma deserve it. So that's where we ultimately ended up. We should have started with no income tax. That's where we're starting. Again, you don't start with, we got to get to this number because government needs to be funded at this level. You start with, we're not going to do this to the taxpayers of Oklahoma. Then you go from there. So it was a fundamentally backward situation there.
But if they didn't feel like that was fiscally responsible this year, I mean, I'm sure Oklahoma's want a lot of things. I want double my income right now, but that's not always fiscally responsible.
Hey, look, we've got a fundamental disagreement. Then I think it's their money. I think you start there. I think that is the moral thing to do. Again, I think sitting here and going to somebody and saying, you bought your property, you pay taxes on it, we're going to make you pay for that the rest of your life, that's theft. That's theft. They've bought the property. They paid the taxes. We have got to start being morally responsible and say, listen, it is their money. So no, we're not going to sit here and say, every agency, you get to keep on spending the way you're spending. You go, taxpayers deserve a break. Taxpayers should not be paying taxes. Do we want more people working or not? If we're serious about wanting more people working, you don't tax it. Even the Supreme Court has said throughout its history, the power to tax is the power to destroy. That's what taxation does. So the more you tax something, the less you get of it. Do we want more work? Do we want less work? Do we want more people to own property? Or do we want less people to own property? These are fundamental understandings. I was reading John Adams last night. You start looking at some of these fundamental issues facing this country. How much of this was around taxation? How much of what got us to be this great country was a fundamental understanding that government derives their power, their authority from God. That's where it starts. And that they owe their consent to the governed. This is fundamental. So no, it's not what government agencies think they're owed. It's not how much government thinks it should spend. It's how much taxpayers are willing to fork over of their hard-earned money. That's where the conversation has to start. So it's just, I got a fundamental disagreement here. Look, we should always be a leader in education.
Should be, but where would you say we are?
Well, look, here's the thing. Well, what are we looking at? What statistic are we looking at? Because people love to throw around how much money you spend in education. I don't want to be a leader in how much money we spend on education. I'll make that clear. I do not want to be that leader. What we want to do is we want to continue to get kids ready for the jobs that they want. That continues to be the thing that we want. And listen, if that means go to college, that's great. If it doesn't mean go to college, it means go somewhere else, get directly in the workforce, and you have a job that you like, that meets your interests, that meets your talents, that's what we want. So we're going to continue to work toward that. We had a fundamental, the reason I'm standing here, the reason I was elected is because our education system was so fundamentally broke. They weren't protecting parents' rights. The teachers' union ran that agency. The teachers' unions ran our schools. We have run them out of town, and we're in the middle of the most dramatic education reform in the country. And so we're going to continue to move the ball down the field. We're going to continue to issue the most dramatic conservative education reform in the country. Got these incredible new standards, incredible new parent rights, incredible new accountability systems. We've got teacher recruitment at record highs. So we're going to continue to do those things, and you're going to see a dramatic turnaround continue. Okay, we got one more. Yes, ma'am.
So we talk a lot about money management and education at the state level, but a lot of these decisions are made at the local level or local capital state, closest to the parents of those decisions. You have a new initiative to start training, offering some quality training to local elected school board members. Will that include fiscal training so that those community representatives understand what their options are with funding under the law?
Yes, and by the way, it's free. So thanks for the question. It is free. We're offering trainings for school board members so that they understand they actually respond to their communities. And that's what they should be. They should be responsive to their communities. They should be fiscally responsible of their districts. That's where their responsibilities should be focused. They should be holding their local superintendents accountable because they're the ones that are elected. They're the ones that come from the community. And so what we're going to do is make sure that every school board member in the state is equipped with that. And frankly, again, we're going to eat the cost of that. Don't go pay some other organization that's going to go out and weaponize those dollars politically. Hey, we will do it. We will tell you what the law says. We will tell you the interpretations of how you do these things. We will equip you, and we'll be ready to help you any way we can because, again, we want every school to be successful. We want every kid to have a great teacher. We want every kid to have a great education. And so, folks, in closing, again, I appreciate you being here today. We have got to get this question right. We've got to zero out the income tax. We need comprehensive tax reform. We need to end property taxes in the state of Oklahoma. We need to give power back to taxpayers, power back to the people, and this will continue. And then finally, our state government will be reflective of the people of Oklahoma, which means it'd be the best in the country. That's what Oklahomans deserve. That's what I'm going to continue to fight for. So thank you guys for being here today.